my goodness. Oh, hello, sorry, welcome to Two Wheels Better, and welcome to the Donnington Dirt Bike Show for this year. Very busy show this year. Wayne? Hello? Are you there? What? Wake up.
Oh, hello, Paul, how are you?
I'm alright, mate. How are you? You tired?
Yes, overworked. Underpaid, of course.
Can't be overworked.
Yeah.
Listen, we've got a lot to do today.
Well, yes, there's a lot to do. We had a lot to do last year at the Dirt Bike Show, I recall.
It's even busier this year, even bigger and better.
20 years, is that right?
20
Not
years?
Your age.
No. The Donington Dirt Bike Show, yeah, it's been going 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, embarrassingly so, because I remember coming to the first one at Bristol.
Well, there you go. You're old enough, aren't you?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've been here at Donington Park now for 4 years, I believe.
I believe so.
And it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot to do.
And it's getting later and later, so I think we should do some work, eh?
So if you like to just shift it.
Shift it.
Shift being the operative word.
Shift, what's that?
Shift's Californian, off-road and general leisure wear.
And silly hats.
And silly hats. So would you like to just go and do a bit, and I'll see you later. Thank you. Shift. No, Stan, not you, mate. Go back where you were. God, these cameramen, it's hard to work with. Shift gear is Californian. American sort of motocross and leisure wear. They do a bit of everything, and everything, exactly what I mean. Because they go from chairs that you can sit on, that you can put your pint pots underneath and your cans of, and tinnies of lager. They go to clothing such as this jacket, which costs you as much as 250 quid. T-shirts at 20 quid. Hats that I wore earlier. There isn't no doubt about it. Shift know what it is to make leisure wear and leisure gear. And the thing about it is I've got one on, and with a bit of luck, if I use my charm, I just might be able to keep it. But if not, I shall have a word with the powers that be and try and find something else from another place. Meanwhile, I need to rock it off. I've got places to go and people to see, so I'll see you later. So we've looked at shift gear. How can we not at least look at Motocross Fox? Motocross Fox, worn by that infamous superstar, Jeremy McGrath, Showtime McGrath as he's commonly known. And this gear here, this shirt and these pair of pants have had Jeremy's sweaty dooberies inside them because he wore these at the Paris indoor motocross event, of which he was the proud winner. They don't just do motocross gear, of course, they do general sports and leisure wear, like all of them do, you know, with the old sweatshirts, t-shirts, general casual jackets and so on. But of course, it is motocross gear that the name is synonymous with, and therefore we better show you some motocross gear. Such as body armour, this sort of thing. This stuff's actually made in Italy for Motocross Fox, but of course they'll have it made to their high standard, there's no question about that. And the same applies with boots. My size of boot. And these would sell for not a little less than £100, which is an awful lot of money, but I can assure you, there's no doubt about it, that is just as good as Dad's big pair, only little. And if you want to see the real thing, the big one, as they say, here's some I made earlier, and that's your big babies. So you might not be quite Jeremy McGrath, but certainly if you try hard and you wear the right gear, you just might be pretty good, and you could win yourself at one of these.
Oh, this is Gary Duplock from Leicestershire Police. Gary, you're here promoting off-road. Is it off-road security, this?
It's security for all types of motorcycles. We're concentrating on off-road because it's an off-road show. Right. But basically our locks and any security that you can see is suitable for any sort of motorcycles.
Because I see you've got one, a bike over here that looks a bit of an awful wreck.
That's right. That, believe it or not, was 3 months old when it was stolen. It's probably worth about £2,000 at that time. That's the state it was recovered, minus its engine and frame and engine numbers, etc. Have all been ground off, and it's virtually worth nothing.
Yeah, it's worth about 30 bob now, isn't it? So what you're saying is, I see on your stand here, you've got some displays of not just locks for the actual bike, but locks for the premises that you keep it in.
Yes, I mean we would advise really, you've got to look at your premises If your bike's in the garage next to your house, you've got to look at your garage security.
Right.
You really want a good lock on the door. You want an alarm if possible, and you want an anchor inside so you can chain your bike to something that can't be moved. These bikes are very easily picked up. Two people could pick a bike up, such as this, although it's on chains. You can just walk away with that, basically.
So this one, this police bike here, you've got, what have you got? Three locks on this one.
Yeah.
So what are these?
Yeah, this is what we call a ground anchor. That would be secured to the ground, either in a garage or wherever you park your bike. That would secure it. At the moment it's only on the front wheel, but you can have it anywhere on the bike basically, and that prevents anyone taking your bike away.
Right. And then just what, the standard lock and chain?
Yeah,
there?
standard lock and chain. You can take these with you if you go out to a meeting, or you're down to the shops if you've got a road bike. You take that in a secure bag, lock your bike up, and hopefully it's still going to be there when you get back.
Right. And another one round the swinging arm and the wheel there, right? So that's pretty secure, that.
Yes, people will be struggling trying to take that away.
They would, right. Now you're the liaison officer, is that right?
Yeah, off-road motorcycle liaison officer for Beaumont Leys Police Station.
Right.
Basically, what that involves is dealing with problems with nuisance and off-road motorcycles in an inner-city area, which is near Leicester city centre. Beaumont Leys is only sort of 3 miles from the centre. The problems we get there is bikes like this are stolen and they're ridden around on footpaths and parkland, etc., which creates a danger and a nuisance for all the residents in the area.
Right. Well, now being an off-road policeman, you're going to have a crack at this today, aren't you? Some off-road.
I've been invited by the industry really to have a go at various sports. The trials riding just over there, I'm hoping to have a go at. And I'm also Matt Bates from Suzuki, who's invited me to have a go on a motocross bike, 1998. So I'm quite looking forward to that. Hopefully I won't fall off.
You're a much braver man than me, Gary. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
So this is PC Lunatic doing his stuff on the motocross bike, and this is Matt Bates from Suzuki, the Suzuki off-road man you are, Matt, aren't you?
Yeah, I deal with the coaching and have done for a little while for people who buy Suzukis and people that race Suzukis, so generally teaching them how to do it better.
Right, so what have you got him doing here? You're teaching him some motocrossy type techniques. What are you actually trying to teach him?
Well, what it's different, this isn't a motocross circuit, so we're not teaching individual small techniques, we're just teaching a general easy way to ride and a safe way to ride, and perhaps sharpening up his actions and techniques, just giving him a few tips. That's generally what we've got to do. It's surprising, just the small things that you get wrong will result in you either crashing the bike or generally riding slow.
Right. And is he any good? Be honest with me.
Yeah. Surprisingly, not surprisingly, that sounds rude, but he's done a bit of racing himself, so he knows how to ride a bike. Motocross is very difficult because this, say for instance, is very, very slippery. So yeah, he's a good rider.
Yeah, good. Excellent. And he's a lot braver than me. I bet he's warmer than us.
Yeah, I can say. Whenever you're riding on whether it be grass or gravel or anything like this, the most difficult part of it is it's slippery. Okay,
yeah.
and the main part of it is you just got to try and keep your balance and keep your cool, keep calm. It's just like driving a car on wet conditions. So minimise the amount you hang your leg off the bike,
right,
because
yeah.
if you cut your leg off and weighed it weighs a lot, and dangle it off the end of the handlebars, you'll be all over the place. So if you keep your feet on the pegs as much as you can, take it off for the corners, never ride with a dead straight leg,
right, yeah.
because you put your foot down, you're going to break your knee.
Right, yeah.
So bend your knee always. And then the throttle, you're driving around and you're stabbing at the throttle
right,
quite a
yeah.
lot. I've noticed that, and on this sort of condition, that's why you just slip as you come out. Right. Nice and gently ease the throttle and then let it off nice and gently. Real slow actions.
Right.
If you're actually very calm and slow and collected, then you actually do ride fairly well. Okay. As for standing up, you're doing enough of it anyway. If I was you, I'd just stand up and push your body weight back a little bit more as you're coming down the hill.
Right, yeah.
Okay. If you're ever riding on big hills, always remember that. Don't push back with your arms, so you push back in this way. You've got to keep your arms in the same position, and just like someone's actually hit you in the stomach and it's pushed your body weight, your backside towards the back of the bike, and it's kept your head and your top half of your body in the same place.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
And don't use that too much.
Okay.
All right? Simple as that.
And just another world famous person, in fact, very, very famous person, Dougie Lampkin. Dougie, you're our our only world champion in the world of motorcycling at the moment, as I can think of. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, there isn't many others this year. Carl Fogarty hasn't managed to do it very close to the end, but I'm sure he'll be back next year, and hopefully there'll be a few more of us.
Yeah. So you're World Indoor Trials Champion and World Outdoor Trials Champion, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Right. But now the Indoor Trials is the one that we see on TV, obviously. I mean, we have it on our programme, but the Outdoor Trials is not so much of a spectator sport. I mean, but it's obviously still just as important.
No, up until now, it hasn't really been a spectator sport. I've just heard that next year, both indoor and outdoor is going to be televised on Eurosport, so that's what we need, more television, really.
Yeah.
But obviously, both championships are very important.
Yeah, because they're blooming hard to get to, these outdoors. I've been on a couple and I'm bloody knackered at the end of the day. I don't know how you go on your bikes. But what do you do now? The season's really at an end until, what, January? So where do you go from here?
Obviously, the season's finished now, and basically we're looking to next year already. When the World Championship finished, I had about 2 to 3 weeks off, and ever since then I've been back to full training, full gym work, full training on the bike almost every day, and really no break now.
Never ending, eh? 12 months of the year. So what do you do at the Donington Dirt Bike Show? Are you, why are you here? Are you here in the capacity of celebrity?
No, not
Of course
really.
you are.
No, I'm basically just helping out on the stand, talking to the public, talking to the kids and everything, signing a few posters, and generally just skiving out around my bike for a few days.
It's not a good life. A world champion, and he still comes here and works on the stand. Brilliant. Well, we'll definitely see you in January, and all the best for next season.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for this week from the Donington Dirt Bike Show. More news from this year's show in next week's Two Wheels Better.
And after the break, Uncle Jeff gets his leg over.
Hang on.
What's up?
Gets his what?
His leg over. A big yellow BMW.
You know, some people say the BMW K1200 RS is too heavy. Well, I disagree. It's not really heavy at all. And neither is this. This is the full-size BMW K1200 RS, exactly the same as that model, except for a bit of extra weight. But it's really not too heavy. It's 285 kilos, which might sound a lot, but it's only 11 kilos heavier than a ZZR11, and it's 40 kilos lighter than a Pan-European. So when people talk about bikes being overweight, you've got to it's horses for courses. So probably the same people who say the bike is overweight, some will also say it's overpriced too. But you get a hell of a lot of bike for your money. For a start off, it's got a superb front end, disc brakes, Brembo discs, ABS braking, and that is absolutely brilliant. To be able to slap the front brake on and stop yourself dead without the fear of skidding is really good. The forks themselves are the famed telly lever, which again are really impressive. All telly forks should be like this. It's got this rigid mounting on the frame, so there's no flexing in the forks, spot on handling, spot on braking. Another part of this price does go on this fairing and the fancy colour scheme. This little lot, the yellow and these checkers down here, is £495 extra. That does include VAT, but that's a lot of money. Moving up on the fairing, you've got this raisable, what a word that is, but you can adjust the screen into 2 positions. It's not electric, and BMW do say you're supposed to get off the bike, grab hold of that and lift it up like that. The idea is that it takes the wind blast off your upper body. It does, but the trouble is the wind then hits you square on the helmet, and so I've been riding with a thing down, and so you get a general more blast, but it's more comfortable, no buffeting. Again, another area as to where all your money will go, handlebar layout. Very unusual on a bike. These handlebars are adjustable fore and aft. You can just see these little splines here. Slacken an Allen screw underneath and pull the bars back. Multi-adjustable. Also got heaty grips on these. They cost you £168 extra, but that's within the 13.5 grand anyway, and so it's small beer perhaps. Generally like the layout of the bars set up in the position, but I'll tell you one thing that I really don't like, and that's these licorice all sorts switch gear here. It's nothing like any other bike. You've got a switch here for the indicators to turn left, one there to turn right, no problem with that, but then your thumb has to move to this switch here to cancel them, and so you end up sort of looking at it and thinking, what on earth shall I do next? They call it ergonomic, but it's more sort of, what shall I do next? Not very clever at all. Also, this headlamp switch that's on here, very difficult to operate with a gloved hand. It really is quite stiff. You can probably see the way I'm moving that. Not very clever. So why BMW don't stick to the sort of mainstream bikes, make life easier for everyone. The other thing I should point out, these heated grips, 2-position little rocker switch here, and heated grips really are a godsend, especially at this time of year. So you've got a low and a very high if you want your hands roasted. So there we are. Get the controls right and it'll be brilliant. The dash panel's very neat. You've got all your indications, including flashing ABS warning lights which go out once you're rolling. Very neat touch is the digital gear indicator. First gear, back to neutral, first. Very, very neat and very useful on a bike like this with an engine that's so smooth. Underneath all this super duper plastic bodywork, one thing I should say about this plastic bodywork, by the way, you can't fit a tank bag on it that you might have at home, especially if it's a magnetic one, needless to say. And even if you've got a harness with it, there's nothing to actually hang it onto. BMW do provide a tailored tank bag for it, but they couldn't supply one at the time. But you certainly need a special bag for it. Anyway, underneath all this, you've got a cast aluminium frame which runs right down to the bottom to the swinging arm pivot. The engine is entirely rubber mounted in it. Single-sided swinging arm, of course, with monoshock rear suspension. And BMW's famed paralever rear linkage there, which stops the rear suspension jacking up. Very neat, all-together package. Well, not only has it got the adjustable controls up front with the screen and the handlebars, it's also got the adjustable foot pegs down here, adjustable brake lever and adjustable gear lever on the other side. You can see there's 2 screw holes here. You undo these 2 screws, take them out, move the footrest up so it goes up and back. Me with my long legs though, I've left them in the lower position. But something else you can do is actually adjust the seat and lift that up by a good sort of inch. It goes from this lowest position to the highest one. Now when we were on the launch in Barcelona, even though I saw all these things and had a little play with the handlebars, I didn't get into the whole thing because you just haven't got the time on one of these press launches. But now I've had this for 2 or 3 weeks, I have been able to play with it, and I'll show you how the seat adjusts. So with the pannier off and using the ignition key, there's a little lock for the seat. Turn it, unlock the seat, dead easy. On here, you've got 2 adjustment positions, 2 sockets there and 2 at the front, if you can see those 2. And to match these sockets on the seat, you've got locating pegs on the frame, there and there. So all you have to do is match the 2 together. This is very fiddly, in fact, and it's not instantly adjustable at all. Well, I can hardly say that was easy. I have done it before, in rehearsals, let's say that, and it went fairly straightforward, but it is fiddly, not quickly adjustable. But after all, it's not something you do every day. You'd adjust it to suit yourself, and once it was there, you'd leave it. But you can see the difference in ride height. It's a good inch, and so you're well and truly up in the air. Well, if you're wondering why I've got my gloves on, I'll show you. BMW's tricks aren't over yet. There's yet more adjustments on this. Under here is an extending mudguard. I'm going to find it. And the idea is that you bring this down, don't laugh, there it goes. You bring it down to stop spraying the vehicles behind you. I don't quite know what the thinking is. It's very nice thinking to think of following motorists, but I don't think motorists think of us very much, do you? But that's what it's about. So put your gloves on, stand by the side of the road and do that. Very strange. Well, that's the conducted tour for now of the BMW. But how does it all work out on the road? I even took this to Alton Park, not on a track day, but at the Great Northern Bike Run, and so did Charlie Williams. What did Charlie think of it?
Well, strangely enough, I was involved in the late 80s with BMW an awful lot and did a lot of their track days, so I was quite familiar with the range of bikes then, the K100s, the K1s, just got into the K1.
You're not that old, are you?
Well, unfortunately, yes. So I have had experience on track days with BMWs, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
This is a whole new breed of motorcycle though, isn't it? It's a whole lot different to the things I used to ride around the track.
Oh, yeah.
It's marvellous.
How did you find it? I mean, it's very well planted, isn't it?
Exceptionally well planted. That's a good term, that, isn't it? Yeah, I must remember that one. No, it is. It steers. It's very responsive. It's very, very smooth, and it's got a good gearbox. Couldn't fault it, really. Marvellous, marvellous.
I think some of the talk about it being a bit overweight and whatnot, you really don't feel this. This is what I found. You don't feel it when you're on the move, do you?
Not at all, and even okay, we've been around the track, but it's not at racing speeds particularly. You know, everything's sort of marshalled out there, so you can't go too quickly. And just riding it around here and parking it again, it's not too heavy at all. It seems to me that a lot of the time, when accusations like that are made levelled against the bike, it's because they've just got to find something wrong with it. There's got to be something, you know. No, that's no big problem at all.
Well, that's the racer's view, but what's it like in the real world? I shall now go and find out. When I rode the K1200 RS at its launch in Barcelona, I thought it just might be a bike that I could get to like. So the only thing to do was use one for everyday transport. So after 3 weeks and 1,000 miles, how was it for me? First, despite its size, you can commute on it. With a fairly relaxed riding position, a tractable motor, light clutch and a superb clunk-free gearbox, city traffic is no problem whatsoever, except for those confusing indicator switches of course. With panniers attached, you can even store a helmet or two and take all the papers you're ever likely to need, even a laptop if you want. At low speed, it's one of the steadiest bikes I've ever ridden, even feet up turns are dead easy. Leave the panniers on and you can go touring, or leave them off and you can go playing. On the open road, this, the most powerful and fastest BMW bike ever built, can really fly. With 130 horses straining at the leash, it could be wild, but it's not. It's the smoothest engine I've ever come across and incredibly quiet too, but its power delivery is amazing. With a massive plateau of torque, it pours power out like cream from a pail. But just to remind you it's got an edge, there's a nice throaty induction snarl from about 6.5 grand to the 9,000 rev limiter, which will see you topping 155 in no time at all. While it's not a scratches tool, it's beautifully balanced with neutral steering and brilliant road holding. With the telelever suspension up front and power lever at the rear ironing out the slightest bumps without a hint of sogginess, this is a totally planted bike. Add in a really slick 6-speed gearbox and those amazing stand it on the nose in the rain anti-lock brakes and you can really motor. Mind you, 130 and third performance doesn't aid fuel consumption one bit. Over 1,000 miles is averaged out at 45 miles to the gallon, but it did drop to a lowly 39 on a memorable blast to the Great Northern Bike Run. The fairing might look big and bulbous, but despite this, side winds leave you unaffected, which is more than I can say for the adjustable screen. Low was okay, but the raised position concentrated the blast far too much on the helmet. So it's a heavyweight bike, but like heavyweight boxers, it's light on its feet. What really counts is the way it handles itself and whether it packs a punch. The Beamer does, and while it might not deliver a knockout to the competition, it'll still be there at the end of the round. A worthy contender in the big bike stakes. Who knows, I might even be tempted myself.